There are some big players out there that are very aggressive in their marketing, and they violate a lot of the rules we talk about during these podcasts and through our compliance academy. And people will say, I don't understand why they're able to get away with it. It's only a matter of time. You know that one of the five companies, the one in Pennsylvania that we talked about last, from my understanding, there was a 4-year investigation before they even filed the lawsuit. You never know who is being looked at and who's going to be looked at.
I've seen the most sassiness, Greg. Are you ready for this? This kind of makes me laugh. The people that are attacking me the most outwardly are lawyers. And I find that to be ironic, that a lawyer would be so upset that I'm talking about the law. Gee, I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that I am teaching it better thanks to Greg than you. Haha, said it. Shots fired. All right, welcome back to the Don't Say That podcast. We got lots of updates going on in this community, and I will get to them in a minute right after I do our promotion. Have you bought the book yet? Come on. Seriously? You got to support the cause. We're out here fighting the good fight. Don'tSayThat.com/go. Get the book. CompliantAcademy.com. Join the academy, which is on fire, by the way. We're getting anywhere from 3 to 4 people a day. Today is a couple people. Like it's every day. We're getting active now. And Complyly, did you see? We just launched the freemium offer. Go to Complyly.com, pop in your URL or upload a text and have 5,000 words scanned for free. All right? Come to us. Come check out and come get a score of your copy. Now, also, we have announced on October 8th, 9th, and 10th, we are running the first ever NAOAC bringing to you a tax and asset protection Masterclass. I'm super excited. It's absolutely free. It's from the one and only Greg Christiansen, whose second expertise outside of compliance is asset protection. I wonder why those two kind of go together. So we're going to be talking to him about how to reduce your taxes, reduce your risk and exposure for lawsuits, and of course protect your net worth and your assets. Something I wish I had done with him before my case. So yeah, you guys can do it. And it's absolutely free. So we're doing the first one for free. So make sure you sign up for that. The link will be below on the YouTube channel. And man, there's been so much going on. We are now on TikTok. Go check us out. Type in Don't Say That on TikTok. So we're there to ruffle up some feathers. We got you'll be happy to know this, Greg, as we launched it yesterday. So we're filming this on Friday. We launched it on Thursday. We have 25 subscribers now. And we have now had 125 views. So yay. But we also have a new YouTube Shorts channel. So Don't Say That Shorts. Go check that out. Lots going on, man. We're scaling. And if you're seeing our ads, you're going to see a lot more of our ads because we're spending $2,000 a day already, and we're about to go up because I hired an agency. And Greg doesn't even know this yet. I have ideas for 2 other products and funnels that we're going to be building soon, and he has no clue what they are. And I'm not going to tell him yet, but they're going to be awesome. So lots is going on that is great in this community. I'm glad that the whole world seems to be starting to talk about this, Greg. Some people aren't very happy about it, though. We're taking some fire because, don't shoot the messenger. So I keep saying, I'm like, why are you upset at me for talking about the rules?
Dude, keep on trying to promote your case with the FTC, like to shame you and to stop saying anything. Like,
yeah,
hey, I can't help other people avoid the pain that
Can I tell you, I've seen the most sassiness, Greg. Are you ready for this? This kind of makes me laugh. The people that are attacking me the most outwardly are lawyers. And I find that to be ironic, that a lawyer would be so upset that I'm talking about the law. Gee, I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that I am teaching it better thanks to Greg than you. Haha, said it. Shots fired. Do with that with what you want. All right, Greg, this week the FTC
has best compliance attorney on the planet. So you should only listen to me, self-described best planet attorney. Yes.
I am the best non-attorney FTC compliance expert.
Daddy always said 2 things. Somebody either self-proclaims them to be the best or wants to talk about religion, you run. And that's generally what I say. You'll never hear me say that, right? It's normally like...
Hey, side note.
Not, right?
Anytime I've ever done business with anybody that led with their religion as part of who they are and their definition, every time it's been a problem. As a matter of fact, the only one major lawsuit I had against was a guy who claims to be a pastor, and he was robbing from me left and right, and we got our money back. All right, so Greg, as if the FTC wasn't busy enough, what is going on over there, man? It's almost like they have unlimited resources and like 1,000 attorneys, but like they have been warning every industry, right? From car dealerships to recently it was adoption consultants.
Oh my
Quite
God,
the opposite.
crazy abortion. No.
Quite the opposite. Sorry. Adoption consultants. And so now to be fair, they had issued a slight warning about AI months ago. I remember they were like, hey, watch yourselves with what you're saying. But now they came out with specific cases, apparently 5 specific cases. And can you tell me this? Is this a government thing or is this an FTC thing? They love to like name stuff. Like this is called Project, I forgot what it is, Project AI or Project, like they always give it like these Project-y fun names. Like is this a government thing or is this an FTC thing?
I think it's a lot of things. I think AI is such a new technology. I mean, if you went back in the day when dial-up internet started and you were talking to business owners about putting their business online, they're like, that's insane. I run Blockbuster. Why would I put my business online, right? And then lo and behold, years later, Netflix and everybody else puts them out of business. But I think that it's new technology. I think there's going to be, just like back in the day, think about marketing 20 years ago when you started. Is the world the same or different for marketers? I would say that it's a lot more aggressive, that the regulatory agencies have gotten more savvy and more aggressive on this. And so I think the Federal Trade Commission, the way they look at this is that they're looking at this is a new piece of technology and we need to bring it in before it becomes the Wild West and people are just taking advantage of it across the board. So if you look at the cases, especially the do not pay case they brought and announced this week, you're looking at things where there are representations which exceed the actual deliverable on which the companies are given. So if you're not familiar with this, do not pay was like this website where it's like, don't pay billions of dollars for lawyers, just go ahead and use our AI and it can generate the same legal documents that you need to protect yourself. But what happens, and this is the thing about having a new technology, is that AI has limitations at this time. I mean, it's ironically when, the last couple of years, more attorneys have gotten in trouble using AI to draft documents they filed within courts because they'll be standing in front of a judge and the judge will be like, this case doesn't even exist. And they're like, what do you mean? And then they acknowledge it was AI. And so that's here with this do not pay. Hey, we'll give you these bulletproof documents you can just use here. But unfortunately, those documents weren't bulletproof because they had errors in them because the AI was faulty and people were exposed to liability. They weren't bulletproof. They didn't allow people not to pay, and it cost them some money on this. So I think you're seeing this statement about AI because the FTC wants to draw a line in the sand early and say, we're not going to allow companies to make misrepresentations across the board on anything, especially this new technology that's just going to blow up. It has blown up. I mean, everybody's using it. And, my son wrote a school paper using AI. And when I found out about it, I was very disappointed because it's like, but he's like, Dad, everybody's doing it. Well, I don't care. I want you to write it yourself because otherwise you're going to be a caveman or whatever. So,
let's look at this. So just for full disclosure, everyone, here's what happened. When I got this announcement, or when I saw this, I was driving. I was at a red light. I was at a red light, and of course, I just saw the headline. FTC goes after AI companies or something like that, and I thought, you gotta be son of a gun, right? I'm like, not again. Leave me alone. Like I've done, stop it. And so I pull up the first case that they've listed out of the 5 I think they went after was a company called Do Not Pay.
Yeah.
Now I happen to know that name because as we're building a tool and an app that helps lawyers and helps people, you can't do that without coming across Do Not Pay. Do Not Pay is a site that's helping people with lawyer stuff, but without human lawyers. And then I'm like, okay, then I read this part. This is the part that made me freak out. So I'm texting Greg. I'm like, I need to talk to you in between whatever the hell you're doing. He says, I'm going to read this, okay? The complaint also alleges that Do Not Pay offered a service that would check a small business's websites for hundreds of federal and state law violations based solely on the consumer's email address. This feature purportedly would detect legal violations that, if unaddressed, would potentially cost a small business $125,000 in legal fees. But according to the complaint, the service was also not effective. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, whoa. I've built Complyly. We're out there, looking at and helping scan marketing to see if there's compliance issues in it. And my God, this sounds so familiar or similar. And of course, we're not perfect. Like, there's no way we can be perfect. Like, it's going to take time. And so we're not going to catch everything. And we've got the whole contract in place you have to sign before you use. And so I just freaked out. And in the meantime that I was waiting for Greg to call me, I kind of went back and read it again with a calmer mind, and I noticed some things. I said, wait, hold on, let's look at this, right? So some of the areas that they're highlighting, it says, generate perfectly valid legal documents in no time. This is what they've quoted. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty claimy, right? And so I'm like, okay, we don't say anything like that on our website at all.
Well, here's the other one. Sue for assault without an attorney.
Yep. Yeah, and then it says, and the company would replace the $200 billion legal industry with artificial intelligence. That's a pretty big claim as well, right? That nothing to back up. And then even when it talks about, hey, we will find fines on your website and stuff, they make the claim to say that to fix these, it would cost $125,000 in legal fees. I know enough by now to say, okay, well, where'd you get that? What's the substantiation? Is that typical? What's the typicality study for that before you can go out? It's kind of a reverse express earnings claim. So I'm like, okay, we're not making any of those types of claims, but still, I am going to go out of my way putting a plan together to make sure that. And I also found it really interesting, Greg, that they took issue with the fact that the company had never ever actually hired an actual attorney to review their stuff. I'm like, well, phew, don't have that problem. Like, our systems are built off of Greg's knowledge, and we seek his consult all the time for it. So I guess the point here is this. It's not actually, I don't think they're going after AI as much as they're just continuing to go out after claims.
On it's representations. Can't make an upfront representation where there's a gap between the back end fulfillment. As an attorney, the most asinine statement I could ever think of is, I can give you and show you how you can prepare a lawsuit to sue somebody for assault. The problem is, you could file that, but then you have to appear in court. And if in the standard, I sit as a judge in 5 cities, the standard that I have to have for that is that they had a legal training, that I have to treat a litigant who is representing themselves as if they have their own, legal training. And if you go up there and you don't know the rules of evidence, I just had a case this last week. This lady came up there. She wouldn't get sworn in. She wouldn't give evidence under oath. And I couldn't consider it, and so I dismissed the case because she didn't understand rules of evidence. I couldn't treat her as a non-attorney. So how does that help you go into court to do this? So if you look at the claims that they were making, they were misrepresentations. It's Section 5 violations. That's why they sued them in the first place. So regardless of what the service is, if it's AI or otherwise, guess what you can't do? I looked at an offer today. It was about an investment offer on how to invest in trading. And it's a really cool offer, right? It has these bots that help you invest in things. But the statements are like, look at this bot. It was able to, generate $17,000 in returns. Well, that is an earnings claim. So if they don't change that, that could be a violation of the earnings claims provision of the FTC Act. So when you look at things, it can't be misrepresentations, can't be earnings claims. It's everything we preach about as it applies to AI. So if Do Not Pay had something that said, listen, exorbitant amount of legal fees, this is a supplement for certain contractual provisions that, you could use. Does not replace legal services, whatever, but if you decide in your discretion you'd rather use this than going to an attorney, this is an option. Maybe that's fine. But the way they say it, it's like, no, this is going to replace the billion-dollar legal industry tomorrow. And guess who's made up of a lot of government officials? Attorneys. Probably doesn't rub them well, right? To do that. So you always have to look at who's your audience. Well, that's probably not a good fight to pick. Like in the state of Utah, where I live, the legislature is comprised mostly of landlords. So would you imagine that it's pretty easy to evict tenants here in Utah? It sure is because they're all landlords. Well, I'm just saying FTC comprised a lot of attorneys. So seeing
Yeah.
this, they're like, no way.
Yeah, no, I started to look at some of the other ones, and I think that it's
Ascend.
interesting to see. Yeah, it's interesting to see that it has nothing to do with AI. They don't care about AI. They don't have a problem with the AI. They have a problem with the claims. So, okay, Ascend Ecom, same thing, right? They said it's offering ways for AI-powered tools to help consumers quickly earn thousands of dollars a month in passive income by opening online storefronts. So that's just an earnings claim. And then there's e-commerce empire builders. They allege same thing. It's offering to help them make a ton of money. Then there's Writer. One point I wanted to make before we continue on here, guys. Notice how Do Not Pay is a SaaS software company that has nothing to do with make money. And so if you're running a software company,
Yeah.
it's again, because I get a lot of people that are like, I run an e-com shop or I run a software company, and it's like the point isn't that they actually are making it very clear that they don't care. It's about, are you backing up the claims? And
Correct.
so they weren't. This is interesting. Writer. It's a AI writing assistant service for a number of uses. Now this was really, man, whew. I wonder how much they had to settle for. But this would be writing on the wall. And it's funny because I was talking to someone about this very thing. One of our mastermind members brought me a company that said, look, Anik, this is like so easy to create user-generated content using AI. And I was like, whoa, boss. I was like, all my non-lawyer little miniature Greg Christiansens on my, shoulders are just like screaming no. And sure enough, you just pop in a product name and industry and hit go, and it starts popping up like 17 people that don't exist, that are AI, that are talking about your product. I'm like, dude, that is like completely that's like so false and so wrong. And this company, Writer, actually promoted that as a feature. And so there are other companies that I feel like I can name a few that are AI video-based companies. I think they're getting in trouble because they are not necessarily saying we create testimonials and endorsements, but they're very blatantly saying, here's how to get upteenth user-generated content using AI. It's the same thing.
Right.
So Writer. So Greg, you think this has something to do with the recent press release that they issued about testimonials too, where they were like, don't use fake testimonials? I was like, who the hell does that?
For
but
sure.
I wonder if it has to do with this.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at what even before that, right? When you and I talked earlier this year, I think there might have even been a podcast we talked about this. The FTC came out and talked about AI use of voices, image, and likeness of other people in order to promote products and services. You see, like Scarlett Johansson and Tom Hanks have come out and they're like, hey, that is not me in that ad, right? I think there is even like a President Trump, advertisement made it look like it was him. It wasn't him. Like, so there was a lot of that AI use in advertising that was early this year. And they started saying, hey, don't do this, don't do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, testimonial endorsements. Well, these are AI generated testimonial endorsements, image and likeness. There was an ad that was out there and they used the voice of one of the, oh gosh, it's a famous actor and I can't remember his name right now. But I want to say Sam Shepard or something like that. But it's an identifiable voice, and then you're like, that's not him. It was AI generated. And so, if it makes it look like these are endorsed by a whole bunch of people that don't endorse them, that's part of the anti-endorsements and testimonials we talked about just a month ago. False, misleading testimonials, AI use. But this here, though, I think if you look at these cases, what I take away from it, Anik, if you look at the last 6 months when the FTC's brought cases, where have they hit? Automators LLC, they hit these companies that are all out there that sell a product and service that's fully automated for the client to purchase into. And if you read a lot of this, get your legal documents without any changes. Get your e-commerce Amazon store without fully automated. I mean, 2 of them were e-commerce Amazon offers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't just fully automated, but you should make thousands of dollars per month if you use our service. So I look at this as the same as the same. It's the same old, same old. It's you need to make sure when you're making claims about your product that it's truthful. And just because you're using AI and bots or whatever, unless it works the way you say it does, it's a misrepresentation. You can be liable. And the SaaS one's an excellent example. I get this all the time. I only offer software. Why does this apply to me? I'm not offering a BizOp. Listen, if you're making misrepresentations, the FTC is still going to have issues with it. They've hit software companies before. Heck, who are they suing right now? Meta, Facebook. What would you call that right now? That's a software. It's a monthly SaaS, and they have issues with that.
Yeah. So this company was called Rytr, RYTR, and actually, Greg, the number is 3. 3 out of the 5 companies that they went after for AI are somehow Amazon or ecom related. So the third one was called FBA Machine.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they do not like the automated Amazon, Walmart, Facebook store industry.
I mean, even with me, how many times have I thought it was a stupid mug offer that I think did us in? I think that was like the final straw. It was stupid offers. It's not worth getting sued by the FTC over. But they don't like physical product businesses, guys. That's just me joking.
You don't like advertising that doesn't mesh up with the back end fulfillment, and that's what all this is.
There you go. All right. That's such a more mature way of putting that. Thank you, Greg. All right. So that's the AI side of things, guys. I wanted to put this message out there because it was like an aha moment I had earlier, and I was like, hey, it's nothing to do with AI. They don't give a crap. It's just about because we're us marketers, we ruin everything, we break everything. This is why we can't have nice things. And so we took AI, and now we started making 17,000 claims about what it can do, and it's like they just don't like it. All right, Greg, what else is going on? What else have you seen the FTC up to? Anything coming down the pipelines? Any cases that you're not supposed to tell us about that you want to publicly end up revealing and telling us about?
Anik, they're just being active. I mean, we went through one of the cases we just went through was the case we talked about last week in Pennsylvania. Full asset freeze granted last Friday, and then you're rolling it into this press release this week for AI. I think they're just being active. I mean, the thing is we always say this. Now, I get this a lot, and maybe you do too. There are some big players out there that are very aggressive in their marketing, and they violate a lot of the rules we talk about during these podcasts and through our compliance academy. And people will say, I don't understand why they're able to get away with it. It's only a matter of time. You know that one of the 5 companies, the one in Pennsylvania that we talked about from my understanding, there was a 4-year investigation before they even filed the lawsuit. You never know who is being looked at and who's going to be looked at. And here's the way I put it into there. It's like, are you willing to risk it, play double Russian roulette that you're going to be able to escape and not be hit by it? Because I'm sure you would say there's nothing in this world that you wouldn't be able to go back and say, I would have done anything to avoid going through the lawsuit, because we've talked about it, right?
Yeah, there's no money. I spoke to someone recently who just got hit, and they were in the first instance of it. I don't want to talk too much about it, so I want to be respectful to who it was, but they were in a complete whiplash, and they said, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And their exact words, and I've used these words exactly, their exact words were, I would not wish this upon my worst enemy. And I was like, I have literally said these words, and it is that bad. And I think people don't understand how bad it can be or could be or would be until it's too late, right? And that's why, so Greg, right, we're getting, attacked a little bit about us being fear-mongers, and we're out there doing all this. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm literally telling you there is no amount of money that I made or will make that's worth what I went through. It just isn't there, because there's ways to make that money and then some, and a lot more than that without that risk. And so, no, I mean, I don't think we're going to stop just because it's upsetting some people and it's upsetting the apple tree. And it's funny because we're getting people that are like blatantly non-compliant, and then they're out. And these are people of influence that are looked up to by other marketers. and they're up there making obscene posts, saying things like, FTC compliance is impossible, and don't even worry about it, or hey, why don't you just be out of business and don't sell a damn thing? That's how to be compliant. And I'm sitting there thinking, guys, I'm selling every day right now, and I feel good about what I'm selling. I love my customers, and I know they're watching me. I 100% know they're watching me. That they should be. That's their job. And I have my 1-year parole hearing coming up here in a soon. By the way, I don't actually have a parole hearing, everybody. It's just what I jokingly call it. We're supposed to check in once a year, and I just have a joke inside the company. I'm like, my parole hearing's coming up.
Let me
I don't know,
just
Greg, about that real quick, side complete tangent. I spoke to Rich today, and he's like, oh, that's easy. I'm going to be putting it together very quickly. And I'm like, is that supposed to be easy?
You're just getting it in on time.
Oh, okay. Because the way you originally made it sound, I was like, I have to do a crap load of work. It has to be super crazy. So I was all prepared for
the fact that they get to know everything about what you're doing business wise. That's intrusive.
I ain't got nothing to hide. So yeah, Greg, what else you got going on this week? Anything else that we need to be aware of before we wrap up so you can go be with your kids?
Not fear mongers, just so you know. I don't know why that criticism's coming out, but if you ever work with me,
we're ruining the fun for people. That's all. It's okay. It's okay. They'll be all right.
When I meet with clients, I want to find clients that are doing it right, and I tell them, hey, you know what, you're fine. I don't enjoy when clients are doing it wrong. I would love for clients to come to me and show me their marketing and me to say, this is awesome. This is well done for you. And I say that a lot. There are times where I'm like, hey, I really like your offer, and I think this is really good. And on a risk factor from 1 to 10, you're probably a 6. And on the more compliant end. But what else am I seeing going on out there? See a lot of aggression. I think you're going to see what I foresee for the rest of the year is a couple of things. The election's coming up in November. I think there's going to be a lot of different craziness. Had a client send me yesterday. I don't know if it was you or your team that sent it to me, Anik, or another client, but sent me this statement saying, hey, you need to register for this and this and here this for the vote or for your business because it's up. And it was from a company that it made it look like it was from the government, but it wasn't. And asked you for money to pay. And this one client that hit me up the other day, I know it wasn't you, was like, I'm so glad I asked you because I was just going to pay it. And it was like $700. So my guess is you're going to see one of those cases that are going to come down in the next 3 months as it pertains either to the election or it has to do with some sort of political thing or some sort of looks like it's the government, it's not the government type of stuff. I foresee, and I hope I'm not a prophet on this, but I foresee you'll see some cases like that.
I have said one thing, and I think this is very easy the more you track the FTC, just look at their press releases where they say we are interested in or changing the rules about XYZ, and start your clock, baby. 90 days or less, you're going to see cases roll out. So, Greg, do you remember back in the day when they issued the release? This is back in the day. This is like 6 months ago. They were like, hey, we're expanding TCPA and FTC regulations B2B as well. Remember, even you hit me up and you're like, look at what they just, because that's the number one argument I hear back from people. They're like, I don't have to worry about this. I'm B2B.
I'm not blind.
Yeah. Well, and then remember, it was on this podcast when that happened. And I'm like, Greg, do they already have a few companies in their mind that they want to hit that use this as an excuse? And we were both like, yeah, I think so. And then no names mentioned, but you and I both are aware of at least one or two, potentially 2 companies that we don't have confirmation but that are getting hit that happened right after that.
Right.
And so even here, they recently issued a study. Was it 2 weeks ago, right? It was 2 weeks ago about the MLM where they went deep into the MLM world and said the average person makes $83 a month. I'm like, if I'm an MLM right now, I'm shaking in my pants because there is no chance they did that study and put all that time and energy in and learned a ton of stuff and then just said, all right, cool, see you guys next year. No. There are some companies that they pulled and said, hey, we're going to go look at them. So watch the press releases where they do these generic ones. So the AI, again, months ago, they released a warning saying, if you're doing AI, and I have a couple of friends of mine, if you're watching, I swear, Greg, some people I know, they listen to this podcast, read this book, and say everything they said not to do is what I'm going to do. It's like they do the opposite because they think that's the best marketing plan. And so this one particular or few particular friends I have are not only out there making claims and doing crazy stuff, but they're adding AI into the mix now. So he's just adding, and back then we had said it too. Oh, they're going to be coming after AI companies. And if anyone's wondering, hell, they're going after OpenAI. I mean, there was a leak that they're going after ChatGPT because of the false stuff that leads. That's so funny, man. Lawyers going into court, naming cases that don't even exist. It's so embarrassing. Oh, man.
But here's
All
the
right,
thing.
well,
I don't want anybody to get hit by the FTC, even those people that are bad actors. But I will tell you this. If somebody ripped off my 86-year-old mom before she died this year, I would lose my ever-loving mind, right?
yeah.
And if you're running an offer that you know innately is not representative of what you actually fulfill, that's a moral obligation for you to look at that and say, and maybe you don't have morals, and that's fine. It's not fine to me because that's not how I was taught and raised. I think it's the degradation of our society when you don't have people who have integrity. But I'm just saying, if there's people that are hardworking, honest marketers, and they're out there trying to do their best, and they believe that their marketing practices line, and they're making mistakes, I don't want them to get hit. But that's the whole idea of teaching you what the rules are. Like, you can't just go out and play the game and ignore and put your head in the sand like an ostrich and think, I'm going to be okay because this is what it is. Because even like you could have competent legal counsel for years, think that you're okay, and then find out at the end of the day, guess what? I'm not. I have risk and exposure. We're just trying to say, here, listen, you're going to play the game, understand the rules. Hear what the rules are, and if you violate those rules, sometimes in sports, you can hold a little on football, or you can travel a little in basketball, and you're okay. Just look at James Harden. He does it all the time. But on other times, you're like, hey, no, they're going to flag you every time. You're the rookie, you're getting called every time. So you just have to make the decision whether it's worth your risk. And I'm telling you, because I've represented so many companies that have gone through this process, it's not worth the risk. The emotional capital that you have to pay in order to go through this, irrespective of the money that you have to pay to the government, it's not worth it. It's horrible.
My hair was all black before this, and it is now not. So that's what I have to say. Greg, let's get you back to your kids. Thank you very much. For those of you who are playing with AI and looking at AI, just know this, the FTC has a special love in their heart right now for AI. Go look at your claims. That's all. Just go check out what you're saying. What are you claiming that AI can do? And soften it up. All right? You don't need to be hypey. I'm telling you, I'm proving it. You don't need to be hypey. And come get the book. Don't Say That, which is rocking. Come support us on TikTok so if we can get more than 25 followers. It would be nice. And compliantacademy.com, complyly.com. Run a free scan. And then, of course, join, pay us, support what we're doing. We're investing it all right back into the business.
Asset protection? Did you
asset
say
protection?
Protection?
October 8th, 9th, and 10th. Register below. The URL is below. It's going to be an awesome time. Greg is going to be blowing our minds. I've seen the presentation. I have watched it. I loved it. We're going to talk about entity creation, saving on taxes, and then we're going to talk about asset protection in case you do get sued. How can you keep as much of your net worth as possible? This is important stuff, and it's absolutely free for the first time. So come join us. And with that said, if you want to be a giant, go compliant. And if life pushes you, stand straight, smile, push it the heck back. Greg, thank you. Have a great weekend. For Greg, because we're filming on Friday, and to the rest of you, have a great week because you're watching this on Tuesday. Bye.